My dad gifted me a car for my 18th, then slapped me with a $5,000 bill and a payment plan. I refused the keys, and now my family hates me. So I'm 17 years old, I'll be 18 in a couple of weeks, and I'm currently working on a Christmas basis, which essentially means that my working hours are spread all over the world. In a good week, I could make about $400, but that's rare, and I'll be laid off in February anyway as the Christmas season ends this month. I didn't plan anything big for my birthday. Maybe a burger with friends, maybe a movie if the matinee is cheap. I've been doing mental math for weeks. How many shifts left, which days I can grab from exhausted coworkers, what I can skim for savings after gas and phone, and the little bribes I pay my siblings so they'll swap chores when I get home dead on my feet. I keep a crumpled sheet of paper folded in my wallet with columns and arrows and circles. It looks like a ransom note, except the hostage is me and the kidnapper is math. Dad caught me at the sink a couple months back, dunking greasy pans from spaghetti night. He leaned against the counter, took the serious father stance, and said, "How would you feel if I got you a car for your 18th? I remember the way the pan slipped from my hand and boomed against the sink. "For real," I said, trying to sound cool. My heart sprinted. Not even a fancy car. Just not taking my mom's car at 5 a.m. while she hunts for her purse and mutters about her commute. Not texting my friend to beg rides. Not waiting for a bus that never matches my schedule. Freedom smells like hot antifreeze and spilled coffee, and I wanted it so bad my mouth actually watered. He said, "Yeah, I'm willing to spend up to 5. But I picked the car. I didn't blink. "Okay, registration and all that crap is on you." Obviously, I wiped my hands on a towel and tried not to grin. I pictured a faded Corolla or a dented Civic with a jangling keychain. I picture me rolling into the grocery store lot on my lunch, eating in the front seat, and tuning the radio to something stupid and loud because I could. I picture me not losing hours because there's no bus after 10. I picture me showing up for once without sweat across my back from running to make it on time. He said like a gift. He straight up used the word gift later when he told my aunt on speakerphone while I rinsed cups. "I'm thinking of getting the kid a car for his 18th, he said in that tone men use when they're proud of themselves. I wasn't eavesdropping, I was literally right there, but he acted like I was invisible until he wanted a dramatized reaction. I smiled and shook my head and went to bed grinning like an idiot with the taste of dish soap still on my tongue. Then life kept happening. Work kicked up as promised. Retail during December is a blender. Managers bark. Customers cry and lie. Everyone shoves returns at me like I personally sent the wrong size in the mail. I smile because I need the hours, and then I go in the back and whisper "holy shit" into the mop bucket so no one hears. My feet blistered the first week and then stopped complaining because pain got boring. I stacked boxes. I shoved pallets. I counted gift cards by the 100 while my eyeballs begged for a break. I smelled like a candle factory exploded and rolled in sugar cookies. I'd get off after a closing shift, wolf down, cheap noodles, sleep 5 hours, set 2 alarms, and wait to do it again. The group chat with my friends turned into a graveyard of can't working. We're all seasonal somewhere. Mall, Amazon, fast food. When the group chat pinged, it was usually someone flexing a tip haul or a coworker meltdown. I scrolled on my lunch and laughed into my fries. When someone asked, "Yo, did your dad really say car?" I typed, "Yeah," and a little flame emoji, and then an empty gas tank emoji because I'm hilarious. We talk about money the way people talk about weather in cities that get 12 seasons a week. I counted tips, tracked hours, shaved wants and needs, and then shaved needs. I didn't buy coffee without checking my wallet. I didn't buy a soda without scanning the shelf for the store brand. I took a photo of the crumpled budget paper and made it my lock screen like some Wall Street psycho. The total for car stuff sat there like a dare. Registration, insurance, gas, emergency repairs. I asked my coworker Cassie what she pays for insurance. She laughed like a piece of gravel caught in her throat and told me to brace myself. "Depends on your car," she shrugged. "Depend on your address. Depends on the mood of the guy behind the desk." "Cool," I said. "So it's like the weather, but meaner. I line everything up, save for registration. Keep a cushion for insurance. Keep enough for gas to get to interviews if the store cuts me loose." Dad said February was the end. My manager hinted the same eyes on corporate notes. If you want to stay, she said one night while we both hid in the back and inhaled stale Oreos, you need to never say no to shifts and learn to run the register like it's your best friend. She was trying to be kind. She handed me a broom like it was a sword. Sometimes I borrowed Mom's car after a late shift. She'd already gone to bed with her phone face down. I'd park careful, bring it back cleaner, then I found it, slide the keys onto the hook, and tiptoe like the house would bite my ankles. Dad would sit at the table in his socks, sometimes elbows on wood, scrolling his phone like it owed him money. He'd nod at me. I nod back. Silence is our safest language. Then last week hit, and with it the text. It came while I was on break, perched on an upside-down milk crate in the storage room, chewing a granola bar, so dry it powdered my tongue. My phone buzzed. Dad, bought the car. You owe me the 5 BTW. We'll figure out a weekly amount. I read it 3 times. I stared at bought until the word stopped meaning anything. I wanted to hurl the bar at the wall. My hands shook. I wiped the crumbs off my hoodie and waited for the punchline that didn't come. He added, this is so you can work for it and feel it's really yours. No strings. Teach responsibility. I laughed out loud. Cassie looked over from the mountain of boxes. You good? Apparently, I just bought a car, I said. Congrats. With money I don't have. Oof. She winced. Classic Dad. I leaned back until the crate dug into my spine. My heart thumped like it wanted to climb out and go scream at someone. I typed back. I thought it was a gift. My thumb hovered. I deleted the question mark and put a period because why give him an easy opening to gaslight me with tone? He replied, it is. I bought it for you, but you pay me back. It's good for you. Words snapped in my head like dry twigs. I can't afford that. I wrote each letter a stab. You know I'm seasonal, right? I'm done in February. He sent a thumbs up, then a long text about how he'd let me pay a small amount every week. He named a number like he was doing me a favor. My brain crunched it. If I paid that and kept paying insurance and gas and set aside anything for emergencies, I'd bleed out by March. The only way to keep up would be to drain the little savings I'd scraped like residue at the bottom of every shift. I typed, I can't. I erased it. I typed, we talked about this. I erased it. I typed, when did you buy it? He didn't answer for 10 minutes, then sent a photo. Dark blue, clean, generic. It sat at an angle in some driveway, like a catalog picture, except the driveway was ours. The car looked both perfect and like a trap. He added, bring cash Sunday. We'll sign the agreement. Agreement. Like he was my bank. Like he wanted interest in my skin. I didn't answer. I shoved my phone in my hoodie pocket and went back to the floor where a customer waved a sweater at me like I'd insulted her ancestors. I nodded and apologized and found a different size and scanned barcodes with fingers that tingled. I answered questions. I smiled like my face was a lid on a boiling pot. My manager called me to help at the registers, and I stepped into that endless beep-beep rhythm like I could drown in it and save myself. At home, the car sat in the driveway, gleaming under the streetlight like a knife on a plate. My stomach pitched. Dad's truck took the other side. The house windows glowed soft. The porch light clicked when I stepped onto the boards. Inside, the air held a dry heat that made my nose itch. The hallway smelled like whatever Mom sprayed whenever she thinks the house smells like boy. Dad didn't look at me when I came in. He knew timing like a boxer. He waited until I went to hang up my jacket, then said from the living room, go look at it. I saw the picture. Go look at it. He said again, so flat it could have been a threat. So I went back out like an obedient dog. The car was fine. The paint had small scratches if you bent close. The headlights fogged a little around the edges. Inside, the seats looked clean, the dashboard dust-free. There was a cheap plastic smell. I sat in the driver's seat and put my hands on the wheel without turning the key. The interior light made the whole world go yellow. I wanted it. I wanted to hand my future just a fraction of slack. I pressed the seat back and felt it give. The fabric squeaked under my jacket. I imagined this same seat at midnight after a closing shift, the heat blasting the radio, low me alone for 10 minutes while I didn't have to be anyone's employee or son. Then the number screamed again in my head. I set my hand in my lap so I wouldn't grip like I could wring free money out of plastic. He came out and leaned against the hood, arms crossed, eyes on me, like I was the one being sold. Nice, right? It's nice, I said. The word tasted like I'd licked a battery. You can start paying me next week. Just a little. We'll make it fair. What's fair? I asked. He tossed a number like a dart. It hit the corkboard of my brain so hard it split the wood. I did math again. If I worked every shift I could nab, if Christmas Eve tips didn't flop, if I didn't get sick, if nothing broke, if my sneakers didn't split, if I never let myself buy fries again, maybe I could float. Then February would rip the floor up, and I'd fall through. I don't have that, I said quiet. I can cover registration and insurance out of what I saved. But I can't do both. You will, he said like a coach yelling basics. You'll figure out, or I won't slipped out sharp. He straightened like I'd slapped him. Do you not want it? I stared at that stupid wheel and wanted to sink my teeth into it like a dog and just rip. Not at that price, I said before my mouth could get scared. Not if I have to pay you back. He squinted. You think I'm made of money? You think cars just grow on trees? I said I'd help. I bought the damn thing. Now you put in the skin. You said gift, I said. You used that word, and it is a gift. I didn't have to get you anything. I could have told you to take the bus. This is me trusting you. If I just handed over, you'll treat it like crap and quit every time someone breathes on you wrong at work. My chest went hot. I don't quit. He snorted like the idea amused him. You were going to quit over scheduling last month. I said I wanted to change my hours because school ate my face. Same thing. He looked me over like he could see the bank statements I carried in my head. Look, I don't want you turning into one of those kids who think everything just pops into their lap. You want it? You pay for it. Not me. My jaw worked. Then why did you tell everyone you were getting me a car? I didn't get you a car, he said. Stop being ungrateful. It's a fucking magic trick. He pulled a gift out of his hat, and somehow I'm the rabbit that owes him for the felt and the car deck and the spotlight. He walked back inside, and I sat in the car until the cold chewed under my hoodie. The dashboard clock blinked 8:48 like it was confused too. I went and dropped my bag and went straight to my room. My siblings were in the hallway passing a tablet like a hot potato. The younger one, Jay, said, without looking up, Dad bought you a car? Apparently, I said. He grinned like it was Christmas morning and he got 2 bikes. Sick. Yeah, I said and kept walking. Mom tapped my door 10 minutes later. She does this gentle knock like she's afraid the house will shatter. You okay, honey? I opened it and leaned on the frame because if I let her in the room, she'd look at the messy bed and that would become the issue instead. He wants me to pay him back. She made a face like she bit something bitter. Well, you'll pay a little. He means well. Does he? I let the anger salt my tongue. Because I can't. I don't have it. She touched my shoulder and gave it the soft squeeze moms learn in a manual, I guess. Maybe you can take more shifts. Your uncle might need someone weekends. I have school. You're so good with time. You'll juggle. You always do. I stared at her. I can't make money appear. She stared back like if she looked long enough, the problem would rearrange itself into something she knew how to fix. Let's just wait to talk about it. Okay. Translation. Let me not be between 2 fights. After she left, I opened my bank app and stared at the numbers until they blurred. I did the math again. Numbers don't change just because you glare. I messaged Cassie. He wants me to pay him back. She responded with 5 skulls and bruh. Then the group chat lit up with memes from the kid at the Wendy's who sees literal grease fires and thinks they're hilarious. I typed, my dad's charging me for my own birthday present. Someone wrote, tell him to give you a receipt so you can return it. I didn't laugh. I put my phone down and stared at the ceiling at the model airplane I built in middle school that fell off the string and now lives crooked in the corner like a crash thing that never quite made it. The next day at work, I told my manager I couldn't do a double because I had family stuff. She sighed and circled a box on the schedule and then handed me a card of returns that looked like it had bred overnight. I wheeled it into the aisles and tucked items back into the shelves like I was hiding messages. Mr. Carhart argues with Ms. Flannel. Mr. Candle stares down Ms. Sweater. Everything in a store tries to be something else. The smile I wear there has a seam down the middle now. I kept bumping the cart into my own heel. My phone buzzed. He sent me a link to a spreadsheet called Payment Plan for Car. He made a spreadsheet. He's an accountant when it comes to punishing me, apparently. He filled in dates and amounts like he'd already scheduled my breath. There was a little note at the bottom. If you miss more than 2 weeks consecutively, I keep the car keys until you catch up. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and braced my hands on the sink. I looked into the mirror at my own stupid face and wanted to punch it because I knew I'd cave. Because I knew some deep part of me still wanted the car so bad I'd climb the payment plan like a barbed wire fence and bleed down my sides and call it worth it. But then the other part started whispering. The part that does the budget on the crumpled paper and knows the math like a shadow knows your back. That part said no. I tried it on in my mouth. No. When I got home, the car keys sat on the kitchen island under a napkin like someone tried to tuck them in. Dad stood at the sink. He didn't turn when I came in. He said, "Keys are there. Don't scratch it." My hand hovered over the napkin. "We haven't talked about the money." He picked up a plate and scrubbed it like it insulted his mother. "I made the plan. Sunday you bring cash. We'll sign." "I'm not signing." He half-turned dish still in his hand, suds clinging. "Excuse me. I can't pay you back. I won't sign something I can't honor." He set the plate down. He wiped his hands slow on a towel and straightened like a wind-up toy. "Take the damn keys, boy. I don't want the car on those terms." "So you don't want the car?" I swallowed. The keys glinted under the napkin like a trap baited with shiny. "Not if I have to sign your plan." He laughed. Not like he found it funny. Like he couldn't believe I'd dare. Then he stepped closer. "You will not embarrass me. You will not run your mouth about me promising you something and then calling me a liar." I said, "You said the word gift." I said I would buy it. I did. "And then you'd pay me back because you're not a mooch." I'm not a mooch. I felt the heat crawl up my neck, that hot, angry bleed that always gets me in trouble. I'm a kid with a seasonal job. Who told you my situation 3 times? He jabbed a finger in the air like he was poking holes in me. "Wipe the tone off your face. I grew up with nothing, and I never expected a handout. I'm trying to teach you what a spine feels like." "Charging interest on a present isn't a spine lesson," I shot back. "It's you wanted to feel like a banker." He stepped so close I could smell the dish soap. "You watch it." Mom's voice came from the hallway, small and frayed. "Please," she said. "Not now. He just got home. Can't this wait?" He didn't even look at her. He said to me, "Take the keys." "I'm not." He grabbed my wrist and pressed the keys into my palm hard enough the metal bit. It lit some fuse in me. I yanked back. The keys clattered to the floor. The sound cracked the room. Jay flinched in the doorway. The youngest started crying like a siren wound itself up in his chest. Dad stared at the keys on the tile like they betrayed him. He stepped back, shook his head, and walked out the back door. The screen door slammed. The house breathed out. Mom crouched and picked up the keys and placed them on the island again, like resetting a board game after someone threw a piece. She rubbed her forehead with her wrist like she'd run out of hands. He thought. She started, then gave up. "You know how he gets about pride." "I know how he gets about control," I said. My voice shook. Tears stung, and I hated the way they heat your face, make you look weak, even when it's rage. I turned to my room, shut the door softer than I wanted. The loud slam would have felt good for a second, and then echoed all evening. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling until the water on my face went cold. The next day, Dad acted like nothing happened, which is his favorite spell. He asked if I could pick up the little one from practice because Mom had a late shift. He said it like a normal dad. He didn't mention the keys. The car ticked in the driveway under a frost. I took Mom's car because my name is on the insurance for that one. The kid kicked mud off his cleats at me and told me about a goal he almost made like it counted the same as a real one. I nodded and faked interest and asked questions not because I didn't care, but because I didn't have space in my chest for the car too. On Saturday, Aunt Lisa came over with a lasagna like a referee brings a whistle. She hugged Mom and then poured herself wine and tried to look like she wasn't taking sides. But she's Team Dad by default. He's her brother. She stood at the oven and asked me over her shoulder, "So, how's the car?" "It's a shape in the driveway," I said. Her eyebrows went up. "Excuse me, Dad wants me to pay him back." I told him I can't. She made a face like she'd smelled the trash. "He's not wrong. You should learn." "I'm 18, I said. "What do I learn if I drown?" "You learn to swim." She took the pan out like she'd just landed wisdom on the counter with the pasta. "When I was your age, I worked 2 jobs. I gave my mom half my pay, and I didn't ask questions. When you were my age," I said, "rent wasn't what it is, gas wasn't what it is, and your mom didn't buy you a gift and then slap an invoice on it." She clucked her tongue. "Nice mouth. Watch it. You don't know what it costs to be a parent. Maybe don't run up a bill you expect your kid to pay." We stared at each other over the steam. The lasagna bubbled like a swamp. She shook her head and said to Mom, "You need to get that boy under control." Mom didn't answer. She pulled forks and set them down like each one weighed a ton. Sunday came. He texted me in the morning like a debt collector. "Bring cash." I thought about just leaving, taking a bus to nowhere, sitting in a diner and nursing coffee until my shift started, letting the house figure out its own drama. But I stayed. I ate cereal that tasted like cardboard and sugar and waited for the talk I knew was a wall. He put papers on the table. The plan. Dates, numbers, a little clause about no excuses. "I'm not signing," I said. For the first time, I didn't shake when I said it. He did that smile without teeth. "Then no car. And I'll tell everyone you didn't want it when they ask. Tell them the truth," I said. "Tell them you sold me a birthday present." His eyes hardened. "You know what? Keep your attitude. You want to act like a victim, go ahead." I tried to help. I looked at the plan. The names of the months perched like birds waiting to peck me clean. I could imagine future me chasing those squares, handing over cash, pretending it made me a man. I saw something else too. The way he'd hold the keys when I annoyed him. The way he'd remind me over and over how generous he was being. The way my gift would sit between us like a loaded thing. The car would never actually be mine. The payments wouldn't just buy metal. They'd buy tiny humiliations spread out like landmines over the next year. "I'll pass," I said, and felt something weird. Relief. Like I'd stood up from a bad chair that had been hurting my back in a way I didn't know until I straightened. He scoffed, gathered the papers, and walked out. A minute later, I heard the car start. The new one. The engine sounded eager. He backed out, tires crunching over our shitty drive. I watched through the blinds as he drove away like he'd take a victory lap around the block just to prove to the sky he could. When he came back, he parked at the curb, not in the driveway. The message landed. His toys rules. I want to work. I said yes to a pickup shift. I slammed boxes and scanned returns and ignored when customers called me buddy like a dog. On my break, I Googled bus schedules. I wrote down the times, circled the ones that got me there before open and home after close. The bus app mapped my life in little blue lines. I texted a friend who sometimes drove past my store on his way to his asked if I could toss him a few bucks for a ride on nights the bus ghosted me. He said, "Yeah, man, but don't pay me every time, chill." I promised I'd buy him food when I could. He said, "If you buy me those stupid seasonal donuts, I'll block your number," and sent a clown emoji. On Monday, Mom left an envelope in my bag with 20 bucks and a note. "Gas? Love M." I didn't use it. I saved it. It made my throat tight in a different way. She's not the hero of this. She let him set the tone because he's louder. But she tries in quiet, stupid ways that don't fix anything but soften corners. When school started up again after break, I reprinted the bus chart and stuck it inside my binder. I wrote the cost of a monthly pass and a weekly pass and one-offs. I circled the cheapest option. I dug for a student discount and found one that barely took the edge off. I showed up to first period with wet cuffs and a head full of numbers. The math teacher asked me to write something on the board, and I almost put my budget up there like a joke. The class laughed at something else, and the sound made a wave that almost knocked me down. Dad barely spoke to me for 3 days, which isn't new. His silence gets heavy, then it gets boring. He clanked around the kitchen like a one-man band. He told my siblings to pick up their shoes in a voice that carried down the hall like a warning. He changed the oil in his truck in the driveway with his elbows deep and his back bent like a question mark. He stomped into the house in greasy boots and shook his hands like he could fling the frustration off his fingers. He doesn't know what to do when he can't bend people. He tries harder. I let it hit the walls and slide to the floor. Wednesday night, I caught Mom alone. She sat with a mug and stared at nothing. I took a breath, counted to 5 like the counselor taught me when I was 12 and couldn't stop snapping pencils, and told her, "I'll be fine. I'll use the bus. I'll save. I'll find a more stable job after." She nodded too fast like she was trying to convince herself. "He thinks the world is tougher than you think." "I know it's tough," I said. "I just don't think he gets to make it tougher to teach me a lesson." She looked at me, then really looked. "You're not wrong," she said soft. Thursday after my shift, I came home to hear my siblings in the living room arguing with the TV. Some YouTube guy said a thing, and now they wanted to say it louder. I found a payment plan paper on my bed. He'd left it open to the last page where his signature line waited like a dare. There was a sticky note, final offer, lowered weekly. You're welcome. The new number was smaller. My brain did the math again before my morals got a chance to breathe, because that's how panic works. It wasn't nothing. It was still too much. But part of me thought you could manage. If you eat rice and beans and complain less. If you work until the skin on your heels splits. You could manage, and then you'd have a car, and he'd shut up. Then the second thought arrived. He won't shut up. He never does. He'll tell the story at family things forever. How he gave you a car and you were such a headache about it. He'll smirk while people nod and you'll stand there holding a paper plate like a target. He'll mention every missed week like a tally, and when you do manage, he'll act like he condescended to let you be responsible. I wrote on the sticky note, "No thank you." I stuck it to the signature line. Petty? Maybe. It felt like a tiny win. He didn't bring it up again. He just moved the car down the street, so I stopped seeing it from the kitchen window. He's good at invisible punishment. It's the kind that turns you against yourself. You argue with a ghost. You want something. You won't take it for a price. You sting. Friday, my boss asked if I could train on jewelry because Becky called out and the store needed hands that didn't shake. I said, "Ugh," and kept the little earpiece in and repeated the phrases she fed me from the back like a hostage negotiator. A woman returned a tangled chain and cried like I'd killed her dog because it was a gift from her boyfriend who left. I nodded and took the chain and handed her a gift card because that's the only mercy our script allows. I'm not even mad at customers anymore. People are inefficient machines for pain. They dump it wherever someone will hold the bucket. I took the late bus home. It rattled and shook and took the longest route through the city like it wanted to show me every sad porch and every dog bent on escaping and every pair of headlights that looked like eyes. A guy in the back argued with his phone. A woman hummed to herself with a bag of groceries hugged to her chest. I stared out the streaked window. The driver's mirror reflected my face, tired and older and set. I didn't feel like a victim in that glass. I felt like someone who picked the fight that hurt less later. Saturday morning, Dad dropped a line in the group chat with the extended family. Kid turned down the car. He didn't have my name. He didn't need to. It started pinging. One cousin sent a shrug emoji. Aunt Lisa wrote, "He'll regret it when he's walking in the rain." I typed and erased and typed and erased, and then put my phone down and went outside. Rain tapped the porch roof like a polite guest. It felt almost funny. I stuck my hand out, cold drops in my palm. I laughed and felt something shake loose in my chest. Jay joined me barefoot because he's a chaos goblin. He said, "You're really not taking it?" "Nope." He frowned like I just told him Santa runs a pyramid scheme. "But it's a car." "Yeah," I said, "but it's also handcuffs." He tilted his head. "Could you get one later that isn't cuffs?" "That's the plan," I said, and his eyebrows popped like I'd told him a secret spell. He nodded and then asked if I wanted to see his new soccer move, where he trips over his own feet theatrically to freak out the ref. I watched. He fell on purpose and then grinned up at me like a golden retriever with mud on its face. I clapped. He did it again with more flair. I clapped harder. For 3 minutes, there was no car, no papers, no bus. Just a backyard and a boy in a dumb fall. The rain eased. Monday after school, I took the bus to an interview at a deli the next town over. The owner wore a shirt that said, "Let's meet," which is either aggressive or perfect, I can't decide. He had my application and asked if I could work nights. I said yes. He asked if I could slice without slicing myself. I said I'd let the numbers speak for themselves. He laughed and said he'd call. He looked like someone who actually meant that. I stepped back onto the sidewalk with a little something buzzing in my pocket that wasn't my phone. On the walk to the bus stop, a kid I didn't know rode by on a bike with one hand, the other hand clutching a bag of bagels like treasure. He said, "Yo, nice shoes," and kept going before I could say they were on sale. Small kindness. It counted. At home that night, Dad spoke one full sentence to me. "Trash goes out by the curb." I took the bag, tied it tight, walked it down the driveway, set it by the cans. The new car sat under the streetlight, rain beaded on its hood patient. I didn't touch it. I didn't touch the keys on the hook either. I went inside and did my homework at the kitchen table because my room felt too much like a bunker. Mom washed pans. The rhythm of her scrubbing soothed my head. She said finally he'll cool down. I will too, I said. It wasn't a threat. That's where I am. Saving what I can. Putting cash in a cheap envelope and labeling it registration because I like the drama. Another envelope for insurance because I like building small walls. I ask for more shifts. I take the bus, and sometimes I hate it, and sometimes I watch the city breathe and feel weirdly okay. I stare at online listings and try not to get seduced by clean photos. I read forums about cars that go forever and repairs you can do yourself with a spoon and a swear. I learn small things. How to check a VIN, how to hear a bad engine sound in a video, how to not get hoodwinked by a guy who says buddy one too many times. I keep seeing my dad's face when I said no. Not angry exactly. More like baffled. Like I'd broken a rule, he thought everyone agreed on the one, where his help comes with a leash and everyone acts like it's a necklace. I get it. He wants to feel like he made me. He did. He also wants to feel like he owns the proof. He doesn't. I'm not saying I'm noble. I want the convenience of a car and the pride of paying for it and the story where I don't owe anybody anything. Life rarely hands out that version, but I can hold off on the version where the interest rate is humiliation. I'm not the hero of this. I'm a kid who said no to the shiny thing and yes to wet shoes. I don't need applause. I need a steady paycheck and a cheap car that starts. If the deli calls, I'll juggle schedules until my eyes cross. If they don't, I'll keep grabbing hours until February, and then I'll flip burgers for a month and talk to anyone who walks in and pretend I don't care when they treat me like a vending machine. I'll keep my envelopes. I'll keep my bus app updated. I'll keep my feet moving. My younger siblings think it's a lot and that I should just suck it up and accept it, but I really don't understand how it's fair when I'm told it's a gift, and you usually don't have to return what someone spent on a gift, but I don't know. Anyways, am I the asshole for refusing to pay my dad back for the car he bought me? My opinion, not the asshole. This isn't a gift. It's a debt with strings, control, and leverage. If the title and registration aren't in your name, your dad effectively bought himself a car, is trying to make you finance it. That's a terrible deal. You should only pay for a vehicle that's titled to you with the price and terms and writing signed and final. No, I'll hold the keys if you annoy me clauses. I've seen parents mark up the price tag on mystery repairs or yank the car during any disagreement, leaving the kid broke and stranded. Your instinct to pass is smart. Keep saving for insurance or registration, use the bus or carpool for now, and shop for something you control from day one. Boundaries aren't ingratitude, they're protection. Good luck, OP. So guys, what do you think of this story?